You said put me in, Chief. Put me in.
Thank you.
As we have people coming in, if you could slide to the middle of the seating so that people can more easily find the seats. We have a few empty seats, so if you're standing in the back, please come up, fill in the seats. We want to make sure as many people as possible can have a seat.
One seat? Does everyone want one seat? One seat? One seat? Thank you.
Are you out of here?
No, I'm going to do Hey, Maureen.
Yes, it is available. Yes. Two things real quick. My camera one. Okay, I thought so. And then, yeah, I think the light, we figured it out so that it would be visible once the lights were all dim for the speakers, but it's not great right now. For the screen.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Speech Showcase. So grateful to have you here. I'm Dr. Michael Alt. I'm an associate professor in the
Communication
department
and the
grad director
for our master's program.
And we're
Thrilled to have everybody here
to have our students and your families and our faculty and everybody who came, all your friends. So
We're grateful to
have you here. Now, some people are so important that they need to be named by name. So first off, our Senior Vice President of Administrative Services, Norm Tarbox, is here. Thank you for coming. Our illustrious Dean, Dean Deborah Human. Our Department Chair, Dr. Ann Bialois. So welcome to our award winner tonight, the Reverend France Davis and his wife, Laleen. All right, so to let you all know how this works, so probably you know how this happened, but on Saturday, all of our contestants came, I know, on a Saturday.
And some of them, like early in the morning,
they got up,
came here,
and they delivered their speeches. We had some excellent judges that watched all the speeches and had the very difficult time of deciding which ones would be presented tonight. So we'd like to recognize our judges. So first off, Dr. Colleen Packer, Professor of Communication, and our outgoing faculty ombuds. Oh. Dr. Sarah Steimel, a professor in the Communication Department and the Associate Dean. Dr. Mark Latorno, professor in the Department of English and the Assistant Composition Director. Lauren Johnson, an instructor in the Department of Communication and the director of our debate team. And Gracie Stevenson, who was a Fall 2023 Speech Showcase finalist, so she knows exactly what you all had to go through. So thank you to our judges taking time out of your weekend to come and judge this. At this time, we also want to recognize all of the instructors of Communication 1020. So if you are an instructor or have ever been an instructor of public speaking, please stand up so we can give you a round of applause. All right, so the way that this works, we have a lot of sections of Comms 1020, our Intro to Public Speaking class. And these students, a lot of them, they're not communication majors. They're taking this as part of their general education courses. And out of all of those courses, each class selects the very best speech of the semester. And that person comes and competes on Selection Saturday against the best speakers from all of the other sections. And then tonight, we have the best of the best. Those speeches that were considered to be our top speeches from our general education courses. So this was a very difficult decision. We have so many excellent students. Some of us those of us that teach the public speaking classes, it's such a rewarding experience because we get to see young people and sometimes not so young people come into our classes and engage with topics that are sometimes hard to grapple with, hard to wrap our minds around, things that have importance in our world. And our students think deeply about it, and they come up with arguments about why one side should be accepted and why one side shouldn't be accepted. Or what are the different aspects of this topic that maybe people don't understand. And the learning experience from them and for us as instructors is just fantastic. And I don't know, 16 years ago or so, we thought that it was a shame that only the instructors and the students in these classes got to hear these excellent speeches. And so we created this speech showcase as a way to demonstrate the excellent work that these students are doing just in a general education course. And this is what Weber State represents. We facilitate people learning and growing and dealing with the difficult issues that face us in our world today. So that is what this is about, and that's why we're all here. At this time, we'd like to recognize each of our participants from Selection Saturday. So we're going to have Ann Bialois come down up front, and when your name is called, come forward and get your certificate and a picture, and everybody will applaud you loudly. Maybe some whoop whoops. All right. Our first is Amelia Anger. Kennedy Cowley. Carson Day. This is good. I'm liking the energy. Joe Geigert. Yeah, keep that coming. Lily Gregory. Megan Maynard. Lincoln Mitchell. Renato Vargas Pena. Kaya Pettit. Mackenzie Paul. Lovisa Puso.
Gotcha. Good thing I didn't choreograph that.
And Jaden Shannon. That was great. You kept the energy up all the way through. That was so good.
I was worried that like the last few were
gonna
gonna
get like a
courtesy clap.
But that was good. You kept it up. All right, keep that high energy because we are now gonna start hearing from our finalists. So, our first speaker tonight. Sorry, let me get my next paper out. Our first speaker is going to be Kennedy Cowley. And she'll be delivering a speech titled Illiteracy, the Epidemic Within Our Schools. She was born in Layton and calls Huntsville, Utah home. Her major is elementary education, and she's a sophomore this year. She attended Layton High School, and her professional goals are to become an elementary education school teacher and instructional coach. And her instructor was Tyler Dingman.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Kennedy
Cowley.
When I say the word literate, many of us will envision similar things. Reading a book, maybe, or writing. But what we often overlook is how literacy floods into every other aspect of life. Literacy is fundamental to critical thinking, social interactions, and overall success. And with that said, literacy rates have been slowly declining amongst our K through 12 or kindergarten through 12th grade students ever since COVID in 2020. And the result of this has been shown in not just their English class, but their overall success as students. As a teacher's assistant for a junior high, I have seen firsthand, time and time again, how difficult it can be to teach an illiterate student, even in math class. Imagine you're a student in a classroom struggling to keep up with the lesson because the words on the page just don't make sense. Imagine feeling embarrassed to read in front of your peers, afraid that they might laugh or judge. Imagine struggling each and every night with homework, not because you don't get the concept, but because the words on the page are just too confusing. For millions of K through 12 students, this is not just a scenario, it's their reality. It's no doubt that the literacy rates among our youth are alarming. According to the National Assessment of Educational Progress, in the year 2022, over 60% of fourth grade students struggled with literacy. These students have a hard time with reading, comprehension, completing assignments, and engaging in meaningful discussions. What's most concerning, though, is that through shame, guilt, fear, they're not getting the help or outreach that they deserve, and instead, they're just moving up to the next grade. The consequence of this extends far beyond the classroom. According to Double Jeopardy by author Fernandez, low literacy rates have been
directly linked to limited job opportunities, increased risk of poverty, and higher dropout rates. Without intervention, we are setting up an entire generation for failure. The good news, though, is that we still have time to change this path. It's not too late. Schools should implement evidence-based reading and literacy programs. According to Snow and Burns, the best way to go about this is by creating fun reading incentives and activities and engaging our students through relatable and easily accessible books. Parents also play a major role in our students' success and value for reading and education. Parents should model and influence good reading habits. Things like having daily reading times or reading to our children and then talking about what we've read are all great strategies. Teachers should not only have the ability, but the requirement to be trained in teaching non-native English-speaking students through programs like an ESL or English as a Second Language and similar endorsements. This is so important because we see non-native English-speaking students or students that come from immigrant families are disproportionately affected by illiteracy.
Imagine a future where students are prepared and confident in the classroom. Imagine students who are excited and engaged in their lessons. Classrooms that run smoothly and effectively, where every single student can decipher every single problem. Imagine a future where books are not barriers, but bridges. How do we get a world like this? First and most importantly, we need to harvest a community that values reading and education.
Get involved, volunteer at schools, and teach our children not just how to read, but how to love it so that it can stick with them long term. Donate books to classrooms and summer programs, and advocate for teachers to have the trainings and to have the skills to teach non-native English-speaking students. It is our job as the adults to give our students the skills and the confidence that they deserve so that they can be successful with whatever they choose to do in their lives. Let's create a generation of success. Thank you.
Thank you, Kennedy. Our next speaker is Lovisa Punso. She'll be delivering a speech titled Embracing Change. Lovisa was born in Stuttgart, Germany, and when asked what she calls home, she said, it's complicated. Her major is special education. She's a sophomore this year. She attended high school at the International School of Beijing, China. Her professional goals are to be a board-certified behavioral analyst, and her instructor for this semester was Stephen Salmon.
When I look back just a few years ago, where I plan to be is far from where I am. Wrong state, wrong school, wrong job, wrong people, and wrong dreams. Except none of this is wrong. It's different and very unexpected, but it's not wrong. In fact, I am exactly where I need to be. Hi, my name is Lovisa Punso, and today I want to talk to you about the importance of embracing change and how this leads to personal growth and new opportunities by having a flexible mindset, being proactive, and having a strong support system. We all make plans for our futures, but as I'm sure you know, life often doesn't go as expected. Change is inevitable, and therefore how we face it becomes critical. I'm sure many of you here today have experienced an unexpected change. How did you react to it? How did it change you? Change comes in many forms: health, relationships, jobs, living circumstances. It's inevitable, but it can be frightening. We become comfortable, and the idea of losing this comfort can be scary. According to the Center for Creative Leadership, Change creates the need to move from the way things used to be to the way they are now. But this can be hard. According to Codem, change can cause anxiety, fear, loneliness, and physical issues. Working firsthand with children with autism, I see how change can be especially overwhelming for some. A recent change for me meant the end of a dream. I left Wellesley College, my dream school, and what I thought was my future. My life has been defined by the need for perfection, and I believed that to succeed at Wellesley would help me achieve this perfection. But declining mental health, struggles to afford tuition, and isolation from family pushed my limits. The final straw was a brutal car crash. I was pushed to the edge, and I needed out. But I was heartbroken, and I felt like I had failed. In the blink of an eye, the dream simply ended. But this led to new opportunities that I never imagined. Growth does not happen without change. If nothing changes, there's nothing to challenge us to grow and adapt. Leaving Wellesley, my life seemed to fall apart. I left the 3 jobs that I had worked so hard for, my closest friends, and the school that was supposed to get me through it all. What did I do? Well, I fought. I dug deep and I trusted that this was somehow the change I needed, even though I did not want it. According to Quick et al., we need to practice finding the good in each of life's transitions, no matter how difficult. But I struggled to find the good. But eventually I did, because I kept pushing myself and I realized that I need to embrace the change. I took a leap of faith. I moved to Ogden, Utah, and I restarted. I have siblings who live here, and I realized that I needed their help. I took a gap year, a thought that would have horrified me in high school because it meant uncertainty. But it was the right choice, and for that year, I focused on work, family, friends, and myself. What were the results? Pretty astonishing. I have found my lifelong career, closer family connections, a work-school balance, my long-term partner, and personal growth. I knew this was not the life that I had planned, but seeing as I couldn't reverse what had happened, I knew I had to simply embrace it. And I found out I could do this in 3 ways: having a flexible mindset, being proactive, and having a strong support system. First, we need to have a flexible mindset. It is so easy to become stuck on what you wanted rather than what you have. But I learned that sometimes what you wanted is not what you need. Perhaps there are new and even better opportunities waiting for you. According to Quick et al., you need to be open and flexible rather than constantly regretting the change. I realized I had to shift my own mindset away from that same regret that had consumed me. I had to see it as an opportunity to grow and to make new decisions that did not align with my plans. I had to be flexible and give this new life a chance. We all need to cultivate flexibility and the ability to shift our mindset to meet new changes and challenges. We need to give the change a chance. Is this easy? Absolutely not. But it is possible, and it's essential if we are to thrive rather than just survive. We also need to be proactive, rather than just a bystander to life's changes and challenges. Change can feel like a total loss of control, but we can make meaningful ways to make changes and embrace this. We are able to make the good that we want to see. I realized to meet my life changes, I needed to make my own changes. I had to set new goals, form habits that promoted well-being, and learn new skills. The possibilities for changes that you can make are endless. Perhaps this means reimagining career and family goals, building self-care into your routine, and learning skills that empower you. Ultimately, it is your choice. I know, but another factor that we need to consider is having a strong support system. When I struggle here, and I so often do, I have more support from family than I ever could have imagined. According to CODM, building a strong support system helps provide emotional, mental, and practical support through life's transitions. And this is true for everyone in this room. Who do you go to when you're struggling? Whether it's friends, family, teachers, coworkers, therapists, or others, these people can make the greatest difference. No one makes it on their own. And the comfort of knowing someone has your back can be life-changing. To conclude, nothing in life stays the same, no matter how badly we want it to. But by embracing these changes with a flexible mindset, being proactive, and having a strong support system, we can achieve personal growth and new opportunities. My personal growth meant realizing that perfection is impossible, that I'm stronger than I thought I was, and that I have the power to make the good rather than just waiting for it to happen. Today, I encourage each of you to think about one change that you've been struggling with. How can you approach it with a new mindset? How can you better adapt, and what do you need to thrive? Change is the foundation of growth, and without it, we remain stagnant. But embrace it, and you may find a version of yourself you never knew existed, and a version of your life you never planned, but needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Lovisa. Our next presenter is Lincoln Mitchell, and he'll be delivering his speech titled "The Power of Labels." Lincoln was born in Provo, Utah, and calls Far West Utah home. His major is psychology, and he's a sophomore this year. And this is really weird, but he went to the international school at Beijing, China, too. No, I'm just kidding. He went to Fremont High School. His professional goals are to be a professional motivational speaker. I got you for a second, didn't I? And his instructor this semester is Bethany Rasmussen.
I am an addict. A procrastinator, a brother, and a nerd. These are the words and labels that I have used to define myself by, and that others have used to define me as for years. You see, we live in a society that has taught us that simplicity and things that are easy to explain are king. And anything that is too long and drawn out and time-consuming is exactly that, a waste of time. And I don't disagree with this, at least not always. But I do fear that we have taken this concept and we have applied it to our view of ourselves and others. How, you might be asking? Through our use of labels. We take something as complex and three-dimensional as human life and our experiences, and we dumb it down to something that is simple and easy to explain. Let me give you an example of this. Instead of someone that has thoughts, dreams, hopes, and aspirations, if you give them a child, they are now just a mother or a father. And this is not a bad thing. In fact, that is a noble calling. And I do understand that we cannot always give someone a speech about who we are and what we've been through. And that sometimes we really do just need one word that can get our point across quickly. No. The actual problem with labels comes from when we take them and we internalize it and say, this is who I am, and nothing more. But the problem with labels does not start at the individual level. In fact, its roots go to society at large. Steve Matthews talks about this in the Journal of Bioethical Inquiry, specifically relating to the label of addict. He says that addict and the negative connotations that we have taken and applied to it start as a societal concept, and then the individual takes it and internalizes it. As I mentioned before, I am an addict. For years, the first thing I thought of when I woke up is I need to smoke weed. And the second thought that would follow was, no, Lincoln, you have important things to get done today. And then the voice that I had trained for so many years would chime in. And it would say, it's okay. This is who you are. This is what you do. You're an addict. Do you want to know the saddest part about that? I believed it. Instead of reflecting and building upon and striving to improve myself, I told myself an easy lie. That this is who I am, and this is all I ever will be. What started as a way to comfort myself quickly became a barrier to self-growth. You see, this is my problem with the usage of labels. We use it as a shield, a way to defend and justify the way that we act. And the problem with this is that one day, in all our lives, we will find out just how flimsy this shield is. It will fail you. It is not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. Now, so far, I have given you mostly negative examples of the usage of labels. So let me give you a positive one. In my preparations for this speech, I asked a lot of people about their views, concepts, and feelings around the idea of the usage of labels. And one that really stuck out to me was my mom. When you think of the quintessential idea of a mother, she is exactly that. Kind, caring, loving, dedicated. And she told me that one day, as she was doing some yard work, she broke down into tears. If she was not actively fulfilling the role of a mother, if she was not doting upon and caring for someone, what was she? If she was not being a mom, she was nothing. And that isn't right. And now you might be thinking, Lincoln, it's hopeless, there's nothing to be done. But no, I come to you today with one simple solution. The next time you find yourself using a label for you or another, take a step back. Break it down. Think about what you're actually saying. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. Give credit where credit is due. I am a mother or I am a father. No. You are kind. You are caring. You are loving. You are dedicated. I am an addict. No. I am a boy, or if you are feeling particularly generous tonight, a man who is trying his best every single day to be a better person, a better son, a better brother, a better boyfriend, a better student. Please, together, we all can rewrite the traditions that have led us to prioritize simplicity and ease in exchange for our own personal identity. if you take away one thing from my speech tonight, please let it be this. Realize and remember that you are so much more than can be summed up in just one word. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot, Lincoln. Our next speaker is Lily Gregory. She'll be delivering a speech titled, "The Cost of Bodily Autonomy." Lily was born in Blackfoot, Idaho, and calls Woods Cross, Utah home. Her major is music education with a choral emphasis. She's a freshman this year. She attended Blackfoot High School in Idaho, and her professional goals are to become a professor of music and a university choir director. Her instructor this semester was Lauren Johnson.
I'd like to start today by telling you all a personal story. In July of 2022, I woke up feeling extremely depressed. Now at the time, I was working full-time, running a full-time business, and taking care of a 3-year-old who was finding her independence and was determined to let me know that. On top of that, I was on the brink of divorce with my husband. Considering the circumstances, it wasn't a surprise that I woke up feeling depressed. However, that particular morning, the depression was stronger than normal. And it was accompanied with thoughts along the lines of, man, I really hope this in my truck takes me out of the way to work today. I wonder if I can make that happen. I had only ever experienced suicidal ideation once before in my life, and that was in 2020 when I was pregnant with my second pregnancy. So when I woke up feeling depressed and suicidal, as well as a little bit nauseous, I knew immediately that I was pregnant. As I stared at the 6 positive pregnancy tests in front of me that night, I remember thinking, if I kill myself now, no one will ever know that I wasn't strong enough to be a mom to 2 kids. If I kill myself now, no one will ever know that I couldn't do this. Now I understand these thoughts are dark and morbid, and I'm not telling them to you to make you feel uncomfortable. I'm telling them to you because I think it's important that you understand the reality of what I was going through in this moment. These thoughts aren't rare. In fact, according to the American Psychology Association, 1 in 7 women experience thoughts similar to mine when pregnant. This isn't just about my experience. This is about women everywhere. Now, at the time of my pregnancy, I had an IUD in place, which is a contraceptive device that is 99% effective, at least according to the CDC. However, despite this, I was indeed pregnant. And when I went to the doctor, he told me that the IUD was too high in my cervix to be removed without disrupting the pregnancy. Now, because I live in the 21st century, I did a Google search before my appointment, and I knew the risks involved by leaving the IUD in throughout the pregnancy. The International Journal of Gynecology states, a pregnancy with an IUD in place has up to a 50% chance of miscarriage. To put that in perspective for you, a typical pregnancy has about a 10% risk, so the risk was significantly higher. On top of that, I was at risk for preterm birth, infections, and perforated uterus, which would make it impossible for me to have a child in the future. Considering all of these risks, I told the doctor I wanted the IUD removed, and if I were to miscarry, the necessary medication needed to end the pregnancy. I would much rather risk losing the child at 8 weeks when I wasn't as attached to it than at 20 weeks when I was extremely attached to it, and at that point, I wouldn't just be miscarrying, but I would be giving birth to a dead child. The doctor told me he was unable to remove the IUD as that was considered an abortion, and I would need to go to Planned Parenthood for that. Now, normally I would have left. I would have gone to Planned Parenthood. I would have had the IUD removed, I would have grieved the pregnancy, and I would have moved on with my life. However, in June of 2022, 1 month prior to finding out that I was pregnant, the courts had overturned Roe v. Wade, and at the time, there were no Planned Parenthoods in Utah open as a judge was reviewing a total abortion ban bill. This brings me to the core of this conversation. Why was it that my right to make decisions about my body was no longer an option? I think it's important you understand. I didn't want to get an abortion. That was something that went against my moral values. However, this was no longer about morality. This was about my health. And I'm not here to change your mind. I understand that for many of you, your beliefs about life and pregnancy are deeply rooted. They're shaped by your faith, your personal values, and your desire to protect what is sacred to you. And I respect that. And because I respect that, I will not argue about when life begins. For the sake of this conversation, let's say life begins at conception. Sperm meets egg, and there is life. Even if we agree on that, we still need to ask, at what cost? If a woman's health is at risk, as mine was with an IUD pregnancy, the decision becomes not only about the fetus's life, but the woman's life as well. And I hope we can all agree that bodily autonomy must be respected on both sides. Judith Jarvis Thompson, in her 1971 essay, A Defense of Abortion, explains bodily in a fantastic way, and I'm going to use her example here. I'd like you all to look at the person sitting next to you. Go ahead, really look at them. Okay, now I want you for a moment to imagine that that person is dying, and they need a kidney transplant in order to survive. Doctors have run tests, and they have determined that you are the perfect match. The government just passed a law that states that you must donate your kidney, not because you want to, not because you volunteered, but because the law demands it. Now I hope we can all agree that forcing the person next to you to give you their kidney is not morally just. We would never force a kidney donation, no matter how desperately somebody needs it, because bodily autonomy is a fundamental human right. So why is pregnancy treated differently? Why is it that you can say no to a kidney donation and the person next to you will die, yet a woman is legally required to donate her entire body, her blood, her nutrients, her physical and mental health to sustain another life? When I was dealing with the realities of my pregnancy, I wasn't just dealing with morning sickness. I was dealing with an impossible situation that put my health, my future, and my mental state on the line. And yet, the choices weren't mine to make. In the end, after facing a system that was set up to limit my options, the baby never ended up forming correctly. And after 12 weeks of throwing up every morning, dealing with suicidal ideation, and becoming attached to the child inside me, the doctor removed the IUD and gave me a pill to induce a miscarriage. The same treatment that I had asked for when I went in originally. I was left to grieve not just the loss of my pregnancy, but the loss of my right to make decisions about my body when it mattered most. And that is the issue here. As I said in the beginning, this isn't just my story. This is happening to thousands of women across the United States. There are multiple states and organizations that are trying to pass bills in 2025 that ignore the reality of pregnancy. Bills that don't take into account things like rape or health situations similar to mine. I believe that a change is necessary. However, change doesn't just happen in the courtroom. Change happens in here with conversations like this, where we sit down and we talk to each other. And we don't just see each other as another statistic on the computer, but we see each other as human. Change happens when you vote with compassion. Change happens when we put policies in place that allow women to make decisions about their own bodies when it matters most. No matter what you believe about abortion, one thing is certain: no one should have to suffer because of laws that ignore the reality of pregnancy. And no one should have to sacrifice their health, their future, or their dignity. This isn't about abortion. This is about freedom. And if you value freedom, then you must respect it and defend it for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Lily. Our concluding speaker tonight is Mackenzie Paul. She'll be delivering a speech titled, "Put the Phone Down." Mackenzie was born in Houston, Texas, and calls Layton, Utah, home. Her major is interior design, and she's a sophomore this year. She attended Northridge High School, and her professional goals are to be a residential interior designer, and her instructor this semester was Brent Warnock.
I want you all to imagine a life where robots have taken over the world. Perhaps you're thinking of something along the lines of I, Robot with Will Smith in it. Or maybe you're thinking of something like Transformers. But what if I told you that the world we live in now is already overruled by robots in the form of one of these? Today I'm telling you to put the phone down. Maybe I'm telling you. Because life's too short to be living it through a screen. I want to talk briefly about three main ideas today. First, digital you versus real you. Next, are phones equal the bottomless pit of time? And lastly, technology. Is it the social life replacement?
So let's dive right in. In my public speaking class, we had the opportunity to learn about the social atomization theory, where, in this article, the authors compared people to being like browser tabs. They say that people have become options, like browser tabs. If we don't like them, or if something more interesting pops up, we just close the tab and don't think twice about it. This is the world that we've created for ourselves. Every single one of you in this room is simply just a browser tab on an overcrowded computer, just waiting to be closed out of the second you are no longer important. Why is this? Well, I believe it is due to the fact that society has deemed it acceptable for us to be able to hide behind our screens. Anonymity. Behavioral scientists Dr. Alicia and Juliana wrote an article about this, saying that greater anonymity is associated with disinhibition and aggressive behavior, potentially because anonymity reduces accountability and thereby licenses bad behavior. Think of it like living a double life. You have the life that you live on the screen, and then you have your real life. And unfortunately, if you want to create long-lasting, real relationships, you can't have this. The person that you are on the screen cannot be different from the person sitting here right now. Next, I want to talk about a little bit about how phones equal the bottomless pit of time. To better understand this, I did a little bit of my own research where I found some pretty staggering numbers. Worldwide, the average person spends about 2.5 hours a day on social media. Doing the math, that means that worldwide in 2024, we spent 500 million years worth on our phones. 500 million years. I mean, this is like dinosaur numbers, right? I decided to conduct my own survey where I randomly asked 40 people these questions. First, I asked them how much time they're spending on technology a day. Over 50% have said 3 to 4 hours, with the rest of my data showing 5 to 6 hours and then greater than 6 hours. Notice how 2.5 isn't even on here? That means we're already surpassing the worldwide average. Next, I asked my respondents when they are on their phones, what apps are they using? 85% are saying Instagram and TikTok. Why are we spending so much of our lives living it through other people? I think it's because we now use technology as a social crutch. I asked the respondents in my survey if they thought they used technology as a crutch. Here's what some of them have said. Sometimes I'll instinctively pull my phone out while I'm talking to someone. I use TikTok to fall asleep, and I wish I could fall asleep without it. Yes, I will use my phone as a crutch and a way to kind of hide from the situation. So what did I gather from this? Social media is an excuse. It is an excuse to not talk to the people that are sitting right in front of your face. Lastly, I want to talk about technology. Is it the new social life? By raise of hands, how many of you have used ChatGPT before? Wow, take a look around. That's crazy. I'll be honest, even I have used ChatGPT before. But for those of you guys who may be unfamiliar with it, it is an artificial intelligence platform that is programmed to give you any information you could ever need.
This could be websites, essays, AI-generated images, and yes, AI can actually imitate real-life relationships. Which raises the question, are we going to be spending more of our time in the future living our lives talking face-to-face or face-to-phone? I asked the respondents in my survey if they thought technology was replacing face-to-face communication. Here's what some of them have said. I think people have less time to interact in person because they're spending it on a screen. I think face-to-face communication is still, there's still face-to-face communication, but definitely less than when phones didn't exist.
The message here is clear. We are spending so much of our time glued to a screen, it is almost apocalyptic. And are we seriously going to settle for text bubbles and artificial intelligence? Because that's all this is. AI is replacing relationships, and our phones are replacing real-life connections. Our phones are merely just a simulation of what real feelings feel like. There's nothing real about AI. There's no real feeling that you can get from this phone other than maybe the burning in your eyes as you're staring down at this glowing rectangle while it feeds you instant dopamine in the form of 10-second videos.
And that's
all that this is.
There is more to your life than the one you are living on this screen. Which leads me to the call. Track your phone usage. Do you really know how much time you're losing? It's more than you think. And lastly, pocket the phone. Be willing to trade notifications for conversations by putting our phones down. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mackenzie. Can we give one more big round of applause with some whoops? I think it's safe for me to say that those were some of the best speeches I've ever seen, not just at the speech showcase, but like ever. I think those were fantastic, so really well done.
We'd like now to give our finalists their honorariums. So we have Norm Tarbox and Anbaya Lois up here to award those to you. So first, please help me welcome Kennedy Cowley to the stage. Oh wait, we need a good picture. Don't run away. All right, help me welcome Lincoln Mitchell. Next, Lily Gregory. Oh, I missed Lovisa. I'm sorry. We'll do Lily Gregory. Sorry. No, come on up. Come on up. I ruined it. Sorry. You figured out what order the papers were in and fixed it. You're brilliant, Dan. All right, sorry, Lovisa Punso. Did you figure out the paper, Ann? Yeah. Okay, got it, good. and Mackenzie Paul. Are you staying? Oh, just normal. Okay. All right, at this point, we would like to honor somebody who has done a great deal for the art of rhetoric and making social change. So we would like to invite Reverend France Davis to the stage to receive the Freedom Through Rhetoric Award. Do you want to give that to him? Reverend France Davis was born on a farm near Goff, Georgia. He joined the Air Force in 1966 and served as an aircraft mechanic. He attained his Bachelor of Arts in Rhetoric at UC Berkeley and his Bachelor of Science in Religion from Westminster. He then obtained his MA in Mass Communication from the University of Utah and also earned his MM degree in ministry from Northwest Nazarene. That's a lot of graduations you've had to sit through. During the 1960s, Reverend Davis participated in the civil rights movement and traveled to Selma, Alabama to walk from Selma to Montgomery to promote voting rights for African Americans. He also met Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and has taught as an adjunct associate professor in the Department of Communication at the University of Utah. He served as the pastor of Calvary Baptist Church in Salt Lake City for 46 years, from 1974 to his retirement in December 2019. Reverend Davis has written several publications, including Light in the Midst of Zion, A History of Black Baptists in Utah, 1892 to 1996, and his autobiography, France Davis, An American Story Told, in 2007. Help me to thank Reverend Davis for all of his work and to welcome him to present to us and accept the Freedom Through Rhetoric Award. Thank you so much. Yes.
Give us a minute.
Thank you. Good afternoon, or good evening, rather, to all of you. It's not a good evening to those of you who are seated over here, so we'll try that one more time. Good evening to all of you. In my father's house, if my father said good evening to you, or good evening, or good night, or good morning, depending on the time of day, certain parts of your anatomy would be tenderized if you did not respond to his greeting. So good afternoon or good evening to all of you. Good evening. Thank you. I'm delighted to be here to receive this award, and I want to thank my friend Norm Tarbert for the presentation, and all of you that are here today, including the faculty and members of the communication department here at Weber State. Not only did I come to Salt Lake in 1972, but I came to Salt Lake in 1972 to Utah because somebody had read an article about a crazy UC Berkeley student. Crazy because I was taking 75 hours of college credit per semester. How many of you are taking 75 hours of college credit per semester? None of you. I went to one school on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday during the day, another on Monday and Wednesday night, still another on Tuesday and Thursday during the day, and still another on Tuesday and Thursday at night. And my wife is here, and she can testify that I didn't have time to take her to the movies on Friday night or Saturday because I was going to a fifth college and taking a full load of 15 hours per semester and 75 total hours. So I'm delighted to be here, to have been invited by Utah to come to Utah to teach at the University of Utah. I taught for 42 years as a professor of communications, an associate professor of communications at the University of Utah, and then served for 10 years as a member of the Utah State Board of Regents, which is responsible for your president and the president of all of the colleges, public colleges in the state of Utah. I want to say a word or two about speech making to those of you who have spoken this evening, as well as those of you who are taking courses in speech making. First of all, I want to suggest to you that it is a good idea to speak in such a way that you use the pause positively, that you use the pause positively, that you also use your hands and your body as signals for communicating to other people. Secondly, I want to suggest to you that it's a good idea to speak plainly so that your words are understood and people who listen to you hear not only the sense of what you're saying, but hear the meanings of what you are saying as well, that you speak as plainly as possible. And then thirdly, I suggest to you that you talk about things that you know about, things about yourself, things about the telephone, things about your own abortions, things that you know about. And as you talk about those things, then you can share with others the message that you have to share with them. I am not as strong as I was the last time I spoke here on campus as a graduation speaker because I've had to face that disease, that dreaded disease that caused a pandemic here in the United States of America. I had that disease, and I have not yet been able to regain all of my strength so that I could speak to you as I wish to speak. Let me conclude by sharing just a word about African Americans in Utah. Let me start by telling you that 20 years before the Mormon pioneers came to Utah, there were already African Americans in this part of the world. In fact, Cache County is named for a part of the trade that was taught by an African American. Cache, a hole in the ground, a burial place, a storage place for storing furs. And African Americans were teaching us how to do that here in what is now known as Utah, 20 years before the Mormon pioneers came. When the Mormon pioneers came, they brought with them Harkley, Green Flake, and Oscar Crosby and their families. And they were, according to the statue downtown in Salt Lake City in the middle of the street, they were colored servants. But in fact, they were slaves, Harkley, Green Flake, and Oscar Crosby. In 1850, another black had arrived in Utah who was a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. His name was Oscar Crosby, and if you go to the city cemetery in Salt Lake City, you'll find the finest memorial to a dead person is to Elijah Abel, who helped to build the temple and the tabernacle. Later on in the late 1800s, there were sufficient number of African Americans in Utah that they were excluded from all of the churches except the Unitarian Church in Salt Lake City. And so they started then their own Trinity AME Church and Calvary Baptist Church. Those churches were started by African Americans, for African Americans, and a large number of institutions throughout the state of Utah still to this day can trace their roots to those Trinity African Methodist Episcopal Church. And by the way, there's Embry Chapel here in Ogden, AME Church. And there is also Calvary Baptist Church, which was started in Salt Lake, but they then spread to Helper, Utah, to Ogden, Utah, and in Ogden, still today, is the New Zion Baptist Church and the Second Baptist Church, both of which trace their origins and their history back to the Calvary Baptist Church. So I've been the pastor of the oldest African American Baptist church in the state of Utah for some 40 plus years, and at the same time served as a professor teaching communications at the University of Utah, Westminster College, and BYU. I taught at those schools and pastored the Calvary Baptist Church at the same time. Thank you for your award that you present to me this afternoon. I am pleased that Weber State, whose president I helped to appoint, by the way, I'm pleased that Weber State University has seen fit to give to me this award. I want to close by asking my wife to stand. She's here and she's my driver since I can't see well enough to see most of you. So she drives for me. Thank you all for your presence and your participation, and good evening to all of you.
We would like to invite Norm Tarbox to come and address us.
Hi, everyone. It is a pleasure, a true pleasure for me to be here tonight. I'm not a person who has, over the years, been riddled with doubt or demons. I don't have reoccurring nightmares. But sitting there just a few minutes ago, I realized that I probably should have been suffer from a reoccurring nightmare since the time I was a wee little boy. Had somebody told me that one day I would grow up and follow on the program, the Reverend France Davis at a speech contest, these are things to lose sleep over. When I was asked to stand in for President Mortensen, I was tickled to do so for a host of reasons. And some of them are personal. I hope you'll bear with me. I promise I'll be very short. 3 indelible images came to mind when I was extended this assignment. The first one was my thought of my first morning away at college, my first class in the basement of the Noise Building at Snow College. Introduction to Speech. Our professor, Rick Wheeler, told the class that each of us would be making 3 speeches during the quarter. And all of a sudden, I could not breathe. And I could not swallow. As someone who was unable to put 2 words together at the time, this seemed like an unachievable goal for someone like myself. What I didn't know is that that class would change my life and that I would make a living in no small measure from my ability to speak intelligently, persuasively, and with some degree of skill. The second image that comes to mind occurred 10 years ago in this setting on this night at Weber State's speech contest of 2015. My daughter Marin was selected to be one of the featured speakers, one of 5. As one who struggles with dyslexia, the written word came very slowly to Marin and seemed to be a pall over her entire schooling experience. But gradually, she made her way to Weber State and the communications department and an intro to speech class and rounds of competition and onto the speech showcase stage. It's no exaggeration to say that her experience that night changed her life and helped her launch her love of words and learning and striving. In a literal sense, she found her voice that night, and I am sad to say that she hasn't closed her mouth since. The third image is from a Sunday morning earlier that semester when Marin convinced me to escort her to the Calvary Baptist Church to hear Reverend France Davis preach. It was a class assignment, she said. I've known Reverend Davis for years, and he has been a great friend to Weber State and the young people of the state of Utah for as long as I can recall. As I listened from the pews that morning, of course, I was struck by his skill as an orator, his command of the language and the crowd, his ability to connect with all of us and one of us at the same time. But more than this, I was struck that Reverend Davis used his words for good. Thank you, Reverend Davis, for your generosity to Weber State University. Thank you to the Weber State Communications Department for organizing and sustaining this life-changing showcase. Thank you to the brilliant Weber State students who shared your talents tonight, and to the faculty and family and friends who support you. If I could leave one thought with you all tonight, it would be this. Once we have found our voice, our words, let's do as Reverend Davis has done and use our words for good. Thank you.
Oh yeah, we need that back. All right, we're almost there.
We just have a couple quick things left to do. I'm going to speak for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to invite Reverend Davis to come back up, and he's going to do the Weber Speaks anthem on the back of your agenda here. And that's going to be fun, so you're going to want to stick around. On the evening of October 29th, 2021, Inglewood High School in California played against their crosstown rival, the Inglewood Morningside High School. And at the very end of the game, with just mere seconds left, Inglewood High School scored a touchdown. And they lined up for a 2-point conversion. Their star quarterback, Justin Martin, had just committed to play football at UCLA the next year. And with the intensity of the moment, in a flash, the center hiked the ball. Justin Martin took the ball and rushed into the end zone, and the game ended. The final score was 106-0. There were 7 players on that Inglewood team that the next year would be playing in a Power 5 conference, playing against some of the best football players in the world. And they'd seen fit to play every snap of that game. Now, some of you might be outraged at the unsportsmanlike behavior of Inglewood High School. You might feel pity for Morningside High School for being on the losing end of a 106-0 game. But the sad thing is, imagine for a second that at the end of the night, all the players went into the locker room, took off their pads, took a shower, went home, came back the next day, and they played the game again. But instead of the scoreboard being reset to 0-0, the same score started the game, 106-0. How do you think you'd feel if you were on Morningside High School's football team? Probably not very good. What would you do? How do you stand up against something that seems so insurmountable? Unfortunately, this is the plight of many, many people in our society. In life, the scoreboard doesn't reset at the end of the day. And unfortunately, there are a lot more things at stake than winning or losing a football game. A lot of us would like to see change. We look around and we see society where there's so much inequity, so many people are facing difficulties that they don't deserve, that they didn't choose, that was just the luck of the draw. And if you feel that way, good. You should feel that way. But a lot of us face the challenge of, what do we do? How can one person impact something so huge as these societal issues? Jeffrey Pfeffer, a Stanford business professor, once said, if you want power to be used for good, more good people need to have power. So, how do we do that? Fighting for a just and equitable society through a commitment to resilience, building a strong and united community, and exercising your power is essential if we are to make our society a true land of opportunity. One of the pioneers of positive psychology, Martin Seligman, once said, the very thought, nothing I do matters, prevents us from acting. And as soon as we stop acting, we abandon all hope of controlling our lives. One of the most powerful findings of psychological science and human behavior is that we can choose the way that we think. To demonstrate this, I'm going to give you a little thought experiment. So think to yourself as vividly as you can that you're a young adult. Some of you might have to imagine a little bit harder than others. And you've had a really bad day. You go to class, and this is a really important class to you, and you really enjoy it. The professor returns the midterm exam, and you got a C+. You're really disappointed. That evening on your way back home, you find that you've gotten a parking ticket. Being really frustrated, you call your best friend to share your experience, but you're sort of brushed off. What would you think? How would you think to yourself? You could choose to think, I'm a reject, I'm a total failure, I'm an idiot. Or you could think, I can try harder in class. Maybe I should be more careful when parking my car. And I wonder if my friend has had a bad day. Choosing to give up in the face of adversity, even when the adversity is a targeted and deliberate attempt by nefarious people to keep you from succeeding, gives those very people power. By persevering, even in the face of persecution, it makes you powerful. Rudyard Kipling in the Jungle Book wrote this poem. Now this is the law of the jungle, as old and as true as the sky. And the wolf that shall keep it may prosper, but the wolf that shall break it must die. As the creeper that girdles the tree trunk, the law runneth forth and back. For the strength of the pack is the wolf, and the strength of the wolf is the pack. Nobody is successful on their own. You need a wolf pack. You need people that when you've had a really hard day and you need to vent, just listen without judgment. And when you've had a victory, they listen to you and cheer with you with no signs of jealousy. And maybe when you're really close to giving up, they just need to sit there silently with you. I really enjoyed an example that Warren Buffett, the great investor, said. He said, if you were in Nazi Germany and you were being hunted by the SS, who do you know who would hide you? The more people you have in your life who would risk their safety to protect yours, the more powerful you are. So create your community if you don't have one. And more importantly, be somebody who would hide someone else. Finally, power is found in the exercising of it. Like a muscle, positive power is built day by day, hour by hour, and minute by minute. At first, your voice might just be a whisper. But as you practice exercising your power, your voice will grow until, like those speeches that we heard tonight, it eventually can fill the halls of universities, governments, and even pierce the hardest hearts. Like the players for Morningside High School, you might feel like there's no point in continuing to play. Every day, you might feel just that you're falling farther and further behind. But what you may not notice is that as you struggle and fail and persevere, you're getting stronger and you're figuring things out. And that is the path to power. So thank you so much. And we'd like to invite Reverend Davis to come back up and lead us in the Weber Speaks anthem. Now, I need to give you a little instruction here. So the Weber Speaks anthem is a call and response. So we're kind of coming to church. So Reverend Davis is going to speak. And then the rest of us, as loud as you can muster, will say, Weber Speaks. And then Reverend Davis will speak again, and we will say, what are we going to say? Yeah, that was good practice, but it needs to be about 5 times to 10 times bigger than that. So, all right, I'll turn the time over to Reverend Davis.
I'm going to ask everybody to please stand as we repeat the Weber speech showcase announcement. Weber Speaks anthem. When an answer to a problem is needed. Whenever conflict or justice demands resolution. Weber Speaks. You need to get louder this time because we're going to blow the top off of this room. Should fear threaten to silence the voice of freedom? Weber Speaks. Thank you. Thank you all for your participation, and that concludes our program for this evening.